Blessed day, soul family. Welcome back. It's another week, another Friday, Fearless Friday, here at the Martial Mystic Calendar Series 2026. Hope you're doing well out there. Hope you're taking care of yourself and one another. What are we talking about today? Today on Fearless Friday, I kind of like to think of the idea of sharing a message that's not easy to share or feels challenging to um, share or challenging to um, introduce. But we're going to talk about warrior ethics and preserving civility and modern day ethics. And the backdrop is, why are we here? What are we meant to do? What's the meaning of life? And the culture, education that I fall back on is martial arts training, cultural heritage, and lineage in the ancient arts, self defense, and self cultivation for the betterment of oneself and one's family and community. So, we'll talk about a little bit of the landscape, a little bit of the history, some cultures, and how other warring cultures approached the concept of battle, war, honor, civility, and uh, and then we'll finish with some guiding principles to help us. Um, so let's see. We'll take a look at some old videos of me as well. If we're looking at the landscape of modern civility, right? Let's just take a look at how we have chosen to live our lives today, where you know um, life moves at the speed of light. Our manners sometimes get left in the dust. We're easily triggered. We can easily trigger others. We scroll past each other's humanity on glowing screens. We reduce complex human beings to single comments, and we measure self-worth in likes rather than one's ability to deeply listen. Civility as the deliberate choice um, to meet others with respect. It's become endangered, an endangered virtue. My question is well, what virtues am I cultivating and keeping from extinction? And it could be said that during times of war, civility is even more fragile. History reminds us that civility has always been fragile, and it's a fragile achievement. Let's look at Athens in the Agora in Athens was a public square. It was a place for debate and the exchange of ideas. But even then, laws had to be written to restrain slander and encourage fair discourse. In the Confucian tradition, you have a term called li, ritual propriety, and that served as a social glue. It emphasized respect and speech and posture and even in how one poured tea. So there's a somatic component there to civil behavior. In the East and the West, civility was not assumed, but it was cultivated and preserved. Our culture still is a shared agreement about how we choose to live together. But we could argue that social norms shift faster than our ability to adapt. Expectations, when rigid, breed alienation. When absent, they breed chaos. Perhaps from the breakdown of civility often begins the it begins with small fractures and insult that becomes normalized, a truth bent for one's advantage, or an unwillingness to see the other side's humanity without deliberate tending. These fractures grow into deep social divides. And if we want a future worth inhabiting, we must return to the root, a personal commitment to upholding civility. No? If you've seen my videos, you've seen the Uncle Sam preserving civility little video. I was going to try to get it, but I don't have it here. But oh, another time. So, preserving civility as a personal commitment, not as an outdated courtesy, but as a courageous act in a world addicted to instant gratification, drama as entertainment, and power and authority, gaining power and authority at all costs. The martial arts and the path of martial morality and the cultivation of these ethics offer an antidote to fragmentation because it unites power with principle, authority with philosophy. Across cultures, martial arts have served as laboratories for developing not just skill but character. In Japan, the Buddhist, or not, sorry, not the Bushido culture placed honor and courage and compassion at the center of the warrior's life. A samurai was expected to wield the sword only when other means were exhausted, and even then to act with dignity toward the defeated. In China, the Shaolin monks tempered their formidable techniques with Chan Buddhist meditations and teachings on compassion and nonviolence. We'll come back to Haidung here in a second. In Africa, capoeira was a combat system, but also a dance and community gathering, an act of resistance, and a reminder that strength can be both aggressive and protective. So these traditions recognized a universal truth: skill without morality becomes predation. Skill with morality becomes guardianship, safety, security. All humans need those things. A code of ethics, whether recited in a dojo oath, practiced in ritual bowing, or passed down in parables, um, again, is that glue. It keeps um, social order, keeps power in the service of the common good. In the modern world, our combat is rarely physical. It might be in boardrooms, social media, within community disputes. Yet the martial arts lessons hold. Without a disciplined mind and a moral compass, we risk letting our abilities serve only ego or self-interest. This is an interesting web page here. I'll share the link. But my teacher talks about a famous monk. His name's Hai Dung, who did the famous one finger handstand. This picture shows him doing two, but he became famous when he was featured in a movie, I think called the Shaolin Temple or something like that. And this is the footage that's in the movie where he's doing a one finger handstand. He's leaning his feet against the wall, but he's still supporting his weight. I don't know if that's him though. But Hai Dung, very famous um, Shaolin monk. You can see this is a little bit of his training. All right, so harmony, coexistence, practice, and the modern warrior citizen, right? Civility and ethics cannot live in theory alone. They must be embodied through repeated action. The martial artist trains daily not only to sharpen the mind, but to sharpen the mind's ability to respond instead of react. And the same principle applies to anyone who wishes to meet this world with grace and agency. The Roman philosopher Marcus Aurelius began each day with quiet reflection. The Yoruba tradition in West Africa teaches good character, humility, truthfulness, and respect is cultivated through daily service. Indigenous councils across the Americas have long practiced decision making through extended listening circles, ensuring every voice is heard before acting. So let's just go back to the root of this series, right? Unity, consciousness, mental health, and dispute resolution systems. If you are not equipped with a dispute resolution system, how are you planning to navigate this modern day and this tense world? You know, even if you say something, do something that you in where you're not intending to hurt or trigger someone, it could still happen. And so even and then when you are triggered or um, you are in a legitimate disagreement, how do you engage without avoidance? Or how do you ask for respect? Or how do you get seen or get heard without overshooting the mark and escalating tension and conflict, right? So those three phrases were the coming into 2026 were the three areas of focus that shaped this series: the martial mystic, mental health, unity consciousness, and dispute resolution systems. So we talk about on Mental Health Monday the bottom up approach that Qigong and Tai Chi provides. On Tuesday, we look at Tai Chi Chuan as um, a structural um, study, pursuit, and cultivation for one's own um, foundation for resilience. On Wednesday, we look at the wellness aspect of these things. Thursday, on Resolution Thursday. For example, yesterday we talked about the fight of no fight. Um, Navigating conflict with skill, mitigating enemy images, and holding space for um, authenticity, no mask, and saying what needs to be said. So, how can our training today help to evoke these ancient energies and practices into modern day skill and focus? All right. So, centering the mind through breath work or meditation or moving meditation or movement medicine is often what I call it, right? Regulating the body first so that there's positive downstream effects on one's mental health and mental well-being. Simply the act of balancing on one leg, physical balance can help shape the positive landscape of mental balance. Um, Left, right, yin and yang, upper body and lower body, yin and yang, to provide integration of seemingly separate parts to provide coherence and resilience. And coherence over time builds resilience. And in Tai Chi and Qigong, we talk about full body movement, bringing the six bows, the two arms, the two legs, spine, and chest bows, into a full body movement. When the mind is distributed throughout the whole body, there's a sense of holistic presence and being that has positive effects on the mind, right? And even in our March poetry, we've been seeing these tenets advocated for, right? So if one is able to keep the true singularity, Wu Ji, that Wu Ji state, the breathing will not be to and fro. To and fro is the opposite of centering, right? How do we center the mind? It's like the fetus in the mother's womb. Great steadiness, keeping true singularity, Sun Yi, that Wu Ji state. Remember, Wu Ji is the state before yin yang is split. You have to find a picture of the 10,000 things. Right? So when all of our mind is on this and that and the other, we need to redirect the mind back to the Wu Ji state. Allow the embodied felt sense and presence of the Wu Ji state for centering the mind. We also need to practice empathy by listening to understand, not simply just to respond. And so we cultivate a deep sense of listening. When we can cultivate a deep sense of listening, then to the other person, we cultivate deep presence, authentic sharing of space to show up for what one is experiencing and putting ourselves in the shoes of another person, or trying to see what it would be like to be in another person's shoes. And this isn't about accepting excuses, but it's just acknowledging the humanity of another person in a way where you acknowledge a lack of needs, a lack of met needs. So, for example, safety and security. If someone's overshooting the mark to advocate for their safety and security, you know that they're needing that. And like I said, doesn't mean you excuse it, but you can see what it's like to come from that perspective. And from there, you can speak to brainstorming other ways to get their needs for safety and security met. You have to have what they say is connection before correction. We can also engage today for modern warrior ethics, engage in skillful conflict by addressing problems directly without degrading the person. Sometimes people say, address the issue, not necessarily the person, right? It's also helpful to think about what exactly specifically did someone say or do, not how did they necessarily treat you, or um, how are they being, or how are they making you feel. Because if you understand real power, no one can make you feel anything, right? But that doesn't mean we don't affect each other. So we have to engage because we want to live and coexist and all contribute. We just have different ideas of how we want to contribute and meet our needs. Conflict's inevitable, and we know that. We're just on our journeys of learning how to deal with it more skillfully by not avoiding, or again, escalating tension and conflict. And lastly, modern warrior ethics, honoring differences as a source of a creative solution rather than a threat to a threat to belonging. So the modern warrior citizen is not the one who seeks out battles, but one who is prepared to defend peace with integrity, presence, and skill. Self-growth, self-cultivation, Neisher Gong Fu, self-knowing. This all emerges when we train our character as diligently as our talents. And belonging arises when we contribute to a culture of mutual respect, mutual exchange, equal exchange, and teaching our nervous system and teaching the body what it feels like to have equal exchange. And in this way, the renewal of civility becomes a shared art. Each of us a practitioner, each of us responsible for the culture we create through the discipline of martial philosophy and the courage of daily practice. We can meet the turbulence of modern life with the steadiness of a guardian, the openness of a peacemaker, and the quiet power of the one who chooses to coexist in dignity and with dignity for all life forms. And that's the vow of the monk, for the sake and the benefit of all life forms. So this is why I developed Yin Yang Tai Chi as a solo practice and a partner practice. Yin Yang Tai Chi bridges the uh, neuroscience push hands practice and somatic work together. So you can go to Yin Yang Tai Chi to see more. I have a book there and some free videos and free information, more information about how to do it. Yeah. And you can get the book there too. And you could even book a call, a free 30-minute call. Look at my schedule there, and we could talk more about these skills and or these philosophies, these ideas, these concepts, or you can just comment below. So let's look at today's Tai Chi move in our calendar series. Every day we've got a new Tai Chi move. And this is brush knee. Shout out to the Easy Living Ranch in Texas, right? So remember that this movement as a moving meditation is accessible and available to embody these ancient virtues and philosophies. The linking of separated parts to provide whole body, full body movement. The whole body is engaged, where we think that a movement is just two arms. It's actually a full body movement. Legs are supporting the torso and providing rotation of the body. Spine opens and closes, follows the rotation. Chest opens and closes to help facilitate movement of the hands and arms. So all of that produces the body's movement and regulation. The first regulation, the body, and then the breath. When the hands move out from the center, exhaling. When the hands draw in, inhaling. And then the mind gets involved to coordinate the body and the breath, the Qigong triad. Once you got the Qigong triad, then the energy starts to move. As long as you have the foundations and create the conditions, the energy can move. After the energy, then you can start to regulate the spirit, yin spirit or yang spirit. Most times you want yin spirit, but oftentimes spirit is influenced by yang energy through emotion. And so we want to have a balance and achieve balance, cultivate balance. Modern day warrior ethics, martial Qigong with spiritual and scholar Qigong. I'm doing both hands. Interesting. There's a spine wave there as well. If you'd like to learn more about the spine wave, you can find on the website, Yin Yang Tai Chi, you can find a course under courses about the spine wave. And you get 5 sessions with me. And we have to also remember the um, Taiji Ball Qigong rule. The internal ball located in the dantian moves the external ball. Internal ball moves the external ball, and the spine wave allows for that. internal ball is connected to the external ball. Spine wave makes undulations, recursive energy. All right, well, that concludes this week, and not sure what's happening this weekend, but hopefully peace is on the horizon, balance is on the horizon for you and for me and for all of us in the world. And you know, take a deep breath and acknowledge the heaven and the earth and humanity in between three powers, and pray for the peace and the love for all of us in this realm, and uh, e- e- invoke invoke the deep peace that we are all connected to, that is on the other side, in the Wuji space. So, looking forward to um, maintaining balance and talking about more modern day warrior ethics here, um, in this Martial Mystic Calendar Series 2026. Remember to embrace the woo, and until next time, may your chi flow smoothly.